Hey, good afternoon, class. This is Zach. I just had to do some traveling this week, and I fell ill, and I'm just still getting over the sickness that I had. It wasn't COVID or anything, just a really bad sinus infection, and I'm still a little nasally, coughing up some phlegm, but I'm all right. So, good news is tomorrow, Monday's training is back on schedule. We'll get back on track. Lesson 4 is my favorite lesson, functions. It's probably the most powerful lesson you'll learn um, along the way with other tools. But building reusable code is saves you time and energy and effort in the future, and building good functions is awesome. Let's talk about lesson 3, group activities. So as you'll see, I'm sharing my screen. You see off to the right uh, that we have the shell, and off to the left we have the code. And here we solved the first one with Brutus with a for loop. We simply use time and speed. They gave it to us in the requirements. How long did he play fetch for? How fast did he run? And they're both inputs with integers. And then the distance, instead of placing it up top, I placed it inside the for loop. So you'll see that I determined the distance in the for loop, which makes sense for each hour in my range of 1 time plus 1. So if the user puts in 12 hours, or 12, whatever length of time this is, we'll say hours, 12 hours, it adds 1, so the range starts at 1, starts at 0 and goes to 13. But in this case we put a 1, so we'll start at 1 and go to stop at 13, so it'll give us our 12 hours. That's the important thing to go by, right? So for each hour in my range, configure the distance, figure out the distance between the hour and the speed, and then a printf statement, hour, tab, distance, kilometer. And you'll see why I put the tab in there. It just aligns it all nice because I put a tab in after hour. So you get this heading of hour, and then a space, then Brutus's distance, and then the distance goes underneath that. It kind of looks all right, but let's we'll go ahead and run it. So we'll say that he ran 10 hours and he ran 5 kilometers an hour, and there's the output. So you got your 1 through 10. 10 plus 1 is 11. Start at 1, end at 11. So you get your 10, 1 through 10. Kilometers are outputted. Looks all pretty. We're not necessarily concerned about uh, him slowing down or speeding up or anything. It's just a very cut and dry requirement, cut and dry question. Basic averages. There you go. Not bad, right? Let's take a look at the next one. So the next one is a bit different. Yep. So here, the thing to manipulate is the space. So if you literally create a variable called spaces and make it one space, you can do the math on spaces and control the spaces between each pound sign. So for a number pound sign in range 0 to 1, print that. So that'll print your starting top and your bottom pound signs. Now, you figure, let's let this run. And now for number, spaces, and range starting at 0, ending at 4. So for number, spaces, 0, pound sign, which is this one, which is this, spaces times 0, which is 0, and then another pound sign, which is this. Now we separate it by nothing, right? So there's no built-in space. We take that away. And then we're still in this loop, and we say for 1, for spaces times 1, well, that's 1. Then the range of 2, you get 2 spaces, so on and so forth. Then all we do is flip the range on its head, start at 4, stop at -1, go to negative, or count by -1, so you end at 0. And here's the opposite. So this is where we started with our 4, or 4, 3, 2, 1. And this is the bottom loop. So ranges can be powerful. You could manipulate a space because a space is indeed an object, and it's a type of string object. So you could concatenate it with other strings, and since a pound sign is a string, no problem. But those are the basic group activities. Now, as for lesson number, or I think challenge number 11, the jelly beans, it has a pop-up. Let's see, let me find it. So that pop-up, it counts it in the output, but it doesn't display it. But you could force it to display. I put it in the announcements by adding a couple print statements. So I think if you run this, how many jelly beans do you want? First tells you type in -5, and there's the output. That tells you type in 200. And there's the output. That tells you type in 75. That's all good. That's the way to manipulate it and win with Python, is add those extra print statements to cover up for the pop-ups. But that's it. Hold on to your hats, because tomorrow we discuss functions. It goes a little something like this, right? So you grab all this, tab it over, define a function called jellybean, open close parentheses, and then a colon, and now then you call on jelly beans. But here's the deal: when you run your script, all this will go into memory. It'll sit there and wait for you to run it, and then you call on it. So this is, you literally define it in memory, and then you call on your function to run it. If you call on your function prior, you'll see you'll get an error. Jelly bean is not defined. Oops, go away. It says jelly bean is not defined because we called on it before we defined it. If we define it first in memory using the define function, build our function, and then call on jelly bean, it operates as designed. We'll talk more about functions and how they work in memory, and how they work to be successful. And the cool thing is you can call on them, because remember, a .py file is nothing more than a module. So you can call on a function from a module, so you don't have to load the whole module if you have a bunch of functions in it. There's a lot of benefits. We'll talk about them tomorrow. But as for the class, hey, sick. I got sick and traveled. Life happens. I get it. We're on schedule for this week, so I'll see everybody tomorrow. Please show up, watch the videos, and I'll see you soon. Have a good rest of your weekend.